All right, welcome everybody. It is June 1st of 2023, and this is Mic Drop Part 3. It's been about a week since the last time I came on here to say anything, and the good news about the mic drop is it can be as inconsistent as I want. When I have things I want to say, I'll come on and say them. If I don't got anything I'm going to say for a while, I'm not going to get online and say them. Good news is when I do have a new video posted or something like that, generally it's taken into consideration almost everything that I've kind of gone through during the time of my absence. And today's mic drop is very, very, very simple. It is a very simple concept to understand, but for some reason just seems so hard to live or know how to do the best way, or in a way that, I don't know, is always constructive. It's kind of tenuous. But let me tell you something about the mic behind the mic drop. I don't care if it is, if it's LBGTQ plus, Pride Month of June. I don't care if it's Black History Month in February. I don't care if it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You don't have to have a month associated with something in your life to have my love. You got it. You got it straight up right off the bat. If you breathe, I love you. Sorry. Some of you aren't going to like that. Some of you are like, dude, you don't even know me. How the hell are you loving me through like a wet... What the hell? Yeah, I'm a little bit crazy. I'm a little bit insane. For sure. But it's my truth. I get to share it. No one is here watching this that doesn't want to be here. Which is probably why it's my favorite part of sharing things like this. Humanity is worth loving. Individual humans are worth loving. Everything that lives is worth loving. I've never been a guy who's been divisive. I can't stand divisiveness. People try to talk to me about politics, and I just kind of look at them, and everybody gets so impassioned about politics, like it's the only thing worth talking about sometimes, and I'm just kind of looking like, you realize there's a whole other world that exists outside of here that really does not focus on politics all the time, like it's not their lifeblood. I mean, I went to Brazil at the end of last year during the World Cup, and I stayed in Sao Paulo, not too far from the airport, just because I wanted to get to Brazil, but not branch out a little bit, not branch out too much. It was my first time. And the way that the country operated during that time was amazing to me, and so drastically different than what I see in this country. I've never seen an entire country slow down for an event. In our country, I have seen many people get excited to ramp up for an event, but not really slow down everything to thoroughly invest in enjoying the event. The best way I can figure out a way to make this analogy is with the Super Bowl. So, the World Cup is the Super Bowl of the world. It's the most popular sport that the world plays. It's the most watched venue, that kind of stuff. And it's slept on here in the United States because it's soccer to us, and we have, different things we like. And that's cool. It's America. We're allowed to like different stuff. We're allowed to prioritize different stuff. It's one of the things that makes us a great country. But when I experienced, they weren't even in the finals. It was Argentina. And granted, now, here's what I didn't understand about Anthony Messi. They didn't spell out the rest of his last name to the rest of us here, I would say in North America. It's Anthony Messianic soccer player. And I say that because he was so beloved is kind of a strong word. He as much as a popular athlete could be loved, He was embraced by so many of the countries in South America, not just Argentina, because of who he was. And I saw an entire country in different venues, in the hotel, like in the hotel place, the cafeteria where you would eat. I would go to the supermarket, and people would just be slow, and everybody was watching a TV screen, no matter what. Whenever the World Cup was on, like everything stopped, and that doesn't happen here. Like, I'd say maybe for tragedy it would happen here, but like to that level, it's so surprising to me that the different places on this planet, that different priorities exist. But in this country, we have months that call attention to, it's not just, minority population, breast cancer and all this stuff for something to be aware of. Every month that has a month assigned to it, like it's this month or that month, it's because there is a lacking of awareness at some point during the history of our culture in America. I got no problem with that. You want to have a history month? You want to have this month? You want to have a respect that month? Teach me. I love stories. I would love to hear all about you. You know why? Because you breathe. You experience things differently than I do. You have a whole different way of viewing the entire world that I can't even pretend to see. I would love to hear your story. I would love to celebrate with you whatever awareness is that is not being aware. For sure. But I will make a division in one. I'm going to draw a line in one place. The exclusivity that comes with the awareness of something that should have been more aware the entire time is it's an unnecessary negativity assigned to something that's supposed to be a positive. So we'll take, it's June 1st, so we'll take Pride Month. And in Pride Month, you have humans, which we all are. We have humans, that feel a certain way that hasn't gotten the awareness in the country that they feel that it should. Anybody who has ever needed help advocating for themselves or needing a voice to speak a little bit louder for them in times when they can't, that's the reason I exist. And I've chosen to do it with, kids, predominantly in high school, but that's because of my personal belief that the greatest in the kingdom of heaven are children. The people that were in charge, this would be like the Pope and all the cardinals going to some raggedy guy that looks like he was, homeless and saying, all right, you claim to know everything. Who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? You're the son of God. You could probably see the hierarchy up there. What is it? Huh? I swear, man, Jesus was savage. He was savage, and he knew it, but he didn't gloat on it sometimes. He just pulled over a little kid, probably about 10, 11 years old. And he said, this is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And I live in a world right now that's temporary, trying to do the best I can for a world that exists that's eternal. And that's why loving anything that breathes is so easy. If you actually understand the inherent value of every single person. No matter if you've been through hell or you've come from heaven. It doesn't matter if you've lived a life of privilege or you've been given no privileges your entire life. You matter. You have my love for the simple fact that you're an individual human that has experiences. And I love the fact that you're out there experiencing things differently than me, because I can't wait to hear those stories. And as a counselor, I'm being a little selfish. I will say that. As a counselor, I'm being a little selfish with that because I think every single story that people share with me makes me a better counselor. I don't know if that's true. It makes sense. Like, I can't quantify the data or do anything, along those lines, but One of the things I always used to tell my kids when they would come into the office is I would say, look, whatever you're going to tell me, 9 times out of the 10 I've already heard. So you're not going to shock me. I want you to feel safe that whatever you're going to tell me right now, we'll be able to deal with, and it'll be okay. The 1 time out of 10 you're about to drop something on me that I have never heard in my entire life, I almost look forward to that more than anything else, because I'm about to grow as a counselor in a way that I never could have gone to class for, never could have gone to a seminar for. I mean, this is life experience, man. This is good job life experience. And my kids looked forward to bringing their stuff to me. They're like, man, I wonder if this one's going to stump Mom, because and there have been quite a few over the last 10 years that have just left me scratching my head, but none so much more than why there's a need to have awareness months, when if everybody just believed that everyone else was worth loving, you would need to call awareness to anything. You would love hearing their story. I sang with a black choir at IU. I was one of the only white guys on a contemporary gospel touring group during the 3 years I was at college. Up until I was 18, I didn't listen to black music. And the culture was so phenomenal to me because it was so different. And I didn't get a chance to experience a lot of the different cultures growing up, but I did too, because there were times that we were poor, there were times that we were okay, and there were times that we were better off. And every single during those times, whatever school I was at, it just made me a better person because of the different sets of stories that are everywhere. Blue collar, white collar, yellow collar, smelly collar, dude can't afford a collar, that collar needs ironed. I mean, everywhere. It's so exciting to hear people's journey, and I'm so thankful that you're even here listening to mine, because I didn't, I know what I've been through in my life, and I feel like it's impactful, and the more that I seem to share it with other people that want to listen, the more I'm being asked for more. And to me, it kind of feels like, I make everything funny in my mind because it's just how my mind works. But I feel like the kindergarten teacher that's got like the tray full of cartons of milk, and each of them is like every milk carton is called knowledge, and I'm handing it out to anybody that'll listen, because when they drink it, they're going to get something more than what they had before. And I haven't experienced a single time where becoming more knowledgeable about something is a bad thing. And I'll use a very, very particular example. Some of you don't know this. It's okay. It's Mike's truth. I get to share whatever I want now. So the degree to which these stories still impact me, hey, that's mine. But I like sharing them. I came home, I would say March of 2018. And at the time I was married, and I had helped build a salon space upstairs in the unused bedrooms of our house so that my wife at the time didn't have to pay booth rent. And for any of you guys that have been hairstylists, if you pay booth rent, good luck affording child daycare. And then also, if you are not doing booth rent but you work for the company itself, you only end up getting like 40% of what you end up. It's egregious. Hairstylists, I love you. Just saying, I'm throwing that out there. But all that good leading into something bad, I overheard my wife talking to one of her male clients about the affair that she was having. It's okay, I know, shock value. Let it sit in. Especially when it hit me, dude. I went paralyzed immediately. Like, couldn't move. Forgot to breathe for like a minute or so. Thankfully, it kicked back in. But there was a time when getting knowledge about something felt bad. And this is one of the most important things that if I could share with anybody and it helps grow you into a person beyond what you are today for the better, I would want to impart this. You have no idea how valuable your stories are to other people, especially those who are living a similar book or experiencing a similar comic book or God forbid, there's so many, explosions and apocalypses happening in your life that it looks more like a pop-up book. It's your stories, your worth is so much greater than what you even know. Because you don't know until someone comes to appreciate the stories that you have to share. I'm telling you now, I appreciate every single story that you have. Every one. Even if it involves me. Even if it involves me in a way that I hurt you in some way in the past, because I've grown from that. I've learned how not to do things like that. I've learned my own value in whether or not me causing that pain was me standing up for myself and my core beliefs, which I should do, or if I should be a little bit more respectful for who's receiving what I'm trying to say. That balance is crazy. And if I figure out that balance, you will never see me on these videos ever again. I will write a book. I will be a kajabagillionaire. I will own some island similar to Fiji. And I will fly out any one of my graduate kids that wants to stay on an island. Just for a week. So that all of you guys, if you're listening and you want to do that, by the way, make it happen. You matter. Awareness needs to be increased every single month that humanity, if you breathe, you matter. I'm thankful that there are awareness months. I'm sad that there's a need for them. But in this country, the uncomfortable truth is quieted more than embraced. And I've had some really hard conversations with people that have been in my life for a good while, at least a decade or so recently, where it's been like, talk, say something, and then boom, I'm hurt. And I'm sharing it. And I'm telling you right then and there, like, hey, dude, when you said that, it hurt me. Like, this is how I felt after you said that. And here's the problem with that. Everybody thinks it's an attack. No, if someone comes and accidentally stabs me with a fork, I'm not trying to do anything other than pointing down at the fork and going, ow! You accidentally stabbed me with a fork. Are you going to get pissed at me because I shared the pain of your unintentional fork stabbing? Come on now. You shouldn't. This isn't any different just because it's a physical versus emotional pain. It's different in the sense that it's invisible. You can see the blood and the pain that's caused when a fork's sticking out of your arm. You can never see the damage that you do to somebody's heart after you've said something. And this country has gotten very, very sensitive to not saying a thing that could ruffle anybody's feathers. And I'm telling y'all, man, my truth, the mic drop truth, that's completely turned upside down on its head. When I started talking to my friends, and I've said stuff like that recently, which I've never done, not in the first 40 years of my life, for sure. I've always just kind of swallowed it. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just kind of nod, play nice, that kind of stuff. No, not anymore. They were so afraid that I was going to attack them for hurting me that they immediately went into defensive mode. And I'm telling you now, that's, in my experience, the common mentality now amongst all of us here in America. Like, just the general commonality of it. We all know people in our communities, they're like, no, man, my community's not like that. We're cool and all that stuff. And God love it. Awesome. And I'd love to visit. But, come on now. This is the truth we're talking about here. It's supposed to set us free. It's uncomfortable. But so is getting out of a trap. If you've ever, I don't recommend this, but back in my day, growing up, we watched Looney Tunes, and it would be Elmer Fudd versus Bugs Bunny, and man, you'd step in one of those bear traps that he'd lay out, or Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, and you'd step in one of those bear traps, and you're like, you'd see like this leg just caught in the trap. Ah! You're gonna get mad at the pain you're experiencing because you accidentally stepped on a trap? No. You're going to get mad at the trap for doing what it's designed to do? Well, that's pointless. So what do you need to be defensive towards right now? Nothing. If I love you and I feel comfortable enough to come and say to you, hey, what you have done hurt me. Did you realize that? That's not an attack. That's me saying I love you so much that I didn't interpret what you just did to me, even though it was really hurtful, as an attack. I took it as a question. Like, I don't think you meant to hurt me. So I'm going to say how I felt as a reaction to what you said, just to provide more knowledge. It's not an attack. Now, if I say, hey, did you know, like, what you just said really hurt me, man? Like, did you even realize that? I'm not expecting well, the reason I said that is because... That's pointless. When it comes to emotion, how you feel during a confrontation is just or even more so important than the resolution of said confrontation. Mike's truth. You can debate me all you want. It's mic drop. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. It doesn't make sense to me where there is so many individual stories. There's approaching 8 billion individual novels of a person's life for 80 some years. Like, I'm telling you, all my Disney friends right now that love Beauty and the Beast, for all you Bells out there, you got a picture like walking into the library that would never end. There's a new book every day. And if there's not a new book every day, there is a new chapter in every single book every single day. Can you imagine not having to wait for content anymore? Can you imagine reading one of the best novel series of all time? You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to read what happens next, knowing full well that tomorrow you can. Mind-blowing, right? This morning hit me a little bit harder than I had thought because I finally got to a point where I feel like I'm getting my powers back. Powers of perception, powers of emotional processing at a higher level than, at a base level, which as a counselor you need to do. And it's becoming more and more aware that our individuality is amazing. And our individual experiences are... God, man, I would pay all my money to go and watch the movies of some of your guys' lives. Not to critique, not to ridicule, not for comedy, but because of the wisdom that I would gain. Because of the things that I would learn that I just had no idea about before. Things that I could improve my already existing knowledge on and make me a better person. Why would you want anybody to not share their story? Why do we need a month to become aware of a population whose stories matter just as much as anybody else that breathes? I'm in St. Louis right now. Around there. I'm living in that area. And, the birth of the Black Lives Matter movement in Ferguson and all that, one hell of a cause. And one hell of an awareness that, again, in my eyes, shouldn't have been a necessity if we had all just loved each other as basic humans. If you love me because I have blood running through my veins or because I breathe. Just an inherent, you're one of me. You're a human. You're a book full of stories, and I love that. Instantaneously. Without you even having to do anything other than live. That's why I love you. That's why a lot of people love you. And for those of you that are lucky enough to know God, that's a lot of the reason why Jesus loves you. Speaking about him, by the way, did you know that he taught through, wait for it, story? It's literally the definition of the word parable, to teach by a story. I don't know about y'all, but if a dude can predict and pull off his own death and resurrection, you have my attention, sir. You have my attention. I will be happy to hear your story, because that's a unique one, right? Good news is there are 4 dudes that walked around like this guy's entire life from the time he was, like 33 for the, the years that he was doing it, just writing down everything he did. There are 4 guys of the 12 that followed him around him that just wrote stories about that one guy who taught people using stories. And I can't think of a more fun way to help others understand us or to become more aware than by sharing through story. And if some of you are freaking mind blown right now of how I have surrounded Black Lives Matter, Pride Month, Black History Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, all in the same bubble of love, the same equity of love, no matter what, I think if we all did that, we wouldn't need awareness months. We'd be excited to become aware. We've lost that. I think in America we've lost that. We've not been excited to become aware in a long time, because most of the things that we've become aware of scare the crap out of us, hurt us, or take something away from us. And it's been a dark time. The sun will rise the next day. And for some of you, you're like, I don't know if the sun will rise for me the next day. Look at me when I tell you a year ago I didn't have more sunrises planned. And I'm not even halfway done with my story. I'm kind of sad that it's taken me this long to actually get a venue to actually share some of it out. So, in conclusion, this mic drop is all about love and awareness and hopefully a future utopia where it's no longer needed, because the importance of what we've learned is not something to be feared. The importance of what we learned is something to take pride on. I'm going to say the P word is Pride Month. If you've learned to love someone better than you have in the past, take pride in it. That's my Pride Month. This is what that Pride Month means for me. Is that everybody that would celebrate awareness in this month has felt just as equally loved by me as everyone else who's ever fought for anything else in every type of awareness month ever. And you always will. Because you matter. I'm sick of people trying to make you guys feel like you don't. You're so much stronger than what you know. And the way that the world works right now, it's not designed to help you discover that. It's designed to mic drop my truth. The world to Mike's eyes is about the same dozen or so people in charge of most of the wealth trying to keep it that way. So instead of learning critical and analytical thinking, we're learning how to obey. Some of you don't like that word. I don't like that word. You can talk to my parents. I was not the obeyer. I mean, I wasn't the worst, but I had my moments. I wish for you all during this entire month that when you take pride in something, take pride in the fact that you love others. Regardless of whatever month it is that they're fighting to be made aware of. Just love. Last thought I'll leave you with was one that has always greeted me every morning. There was a guy out of Georgia named Andy Stanley, and he's a pretty good preacher because he preaches like to the people that don't believe in Jesus and the people that do in the same church. He's a really awesome kind of guy. if you get a chance, I want you to listen to it, but he just asked this question. He goes, what does love require of me? Wake up in the morning. Ask yourself, what does love require of me? Because the more you love on others, the more this world gets better. And the more each of us begin to feel better individually. So I love you guys. Take pride in all you do, because you matter. This is the Mic Drop, and I'm your lovable host, Mike with the most. And we out.